If you're even remotely interested in stamp collecting or the forgotten treasures of American history, you're going to want to listen closely, because today we're uncovering the extraordinary story of one of the most elusive and valuable U.S. postage stamps ever created, the one Benjamin Franklin Z. Grill, issued in 1868. This isn't just any old stamp. It's a true enigma in the world of philately. A postage relic so rare that only two are confirmed to exist. That's right, two. Out of the millions of stamps printed in the 19th century, this one stands out not just for its scarcity, but for the fascinating history wrapped around it like a coded letter from the past. To understand its significance, we need to go back to the aftermath of the American Civil War, when the U.S. Postal Service was actively experimenting with ways to prevent stamp reuse, a surprisingly common form of fraud at the time. One such experiment was the introduction of grills, small square impressions embossed onto the paper of postage stamps. These grills were meant to break the paper fibers, so ink from cancellation marks would soak into the stamp, making it difficult to wash and reuse. Among the various grill patterns tested during this period, including the more common FE and D grills, one was applied briefly and then quietly discontinued, the so-called Z grill, measuring about 13 rows by 18 columns of horizontal ridges. This unique grill was only used on a few early issues, including the 1-cent Franklin. The Z grill was soon phased out, likely due to practical challenges in production, and its brief existence created what is now one of the most iconic rarities in U.S. stamp history. The stamp itself features a side profile of Benjamin Franklin, engraved in deep blue ink, framed with ornate scrollwork, and printed by the National Bank Note Company. On the surface, it looks very similar to other Franklin stamps of the era, which makes identifying it tricky for untrained eyes. But what truly sets it apart is that subtle, nearly invisible grill pattern on the back. So if you ever come across a 1-cent blue Franklin from the 1860s, don't just toss it aside. Flip it over. Hold it up to the light. Examine the texture. Because in philately, the value often lies in the smallest overlooked details. Out of all the Z grill stamps ever produced, only 2 examples of the one Franklin Z grill are known to still exist. One is housed in the New York Public Library's permanent collection and is essentially off-limits to the public market. The second was famously traded in 2005 by the Mystic Stamp Company to collector Bill Gross, who exchanged it for the legendary inverted Jenny plate block, making philatelic history in the process. That trade valued the Z grill at around $3 million, cementing its place as the most valuable U.S. stamp ever known. What's fascinating is that both surviving copies are used stamps, not mint, and yet their value far surpasses countless mint condition stamps because rarity trumps condition at this level. Authentication is critical. Experts use precision lighting, magnification, and sometimes infrared photography to distinguish the Z grill from more common grill types. It's that horizontal orientation of the ridges that's key. And while it's virtually impossible for another copy to surface today, philately has seen surprises before. Stamps thought lost have turned up in estate sales, attic boxes, and inherited albums, so it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility that a third could exist, quietly hiding in someone's collection, just waiting to be rediscovered. Now imagine the thrill of flipping through an old binder and realizing you might be holding an item worth more than a luxury car, or even a house. That's the kind of excitement this hobby can bring, and it's why collectors remain so passionate about these little paper artifacts. They're more than postage. They're pieces of economic history, social commentary, and forgotten ingenuity. Franklin's legacy as a printer, statesman, and inventor only deepens the symbolism here, making this particular stamp a perfect tribute to his contributions. And that, honestly, is what makes the one Benjamin Franklin Z grill so fascinating. It's not just about the price tag, though $3 million certainly grabs attention. It's about the rarity, the mistake, the hidden pattern pressed into the paper, and the fact that 2 copies are all that remain from a brief and forgotten moment in U.S. postal experimentation. For those who think stamp collecting is boring, this stamp proves them wrong, because it's a mystery, a treasure, and a story all in one. So if this kind of hidden history excites you as much as it does me, make sure to like this video, drop a comment with your dream stamp find, and don't forget to subscribe to Hidden Ink Treasures, where forgotten ink tells unforgettable stories. Who knows? Your next attic find might just be worth a fortune. Next up, in the fascinating world of rare U.S. stamps, few are as iconic or as captivating as the inverted Jenny of 1918, a legendary error stamp that continues to make headlines over a century after its accidental creation. Valued today at up to $89,000, or even more, depending on its condition and provenance. This stamp is not just a prized collectible, but a symbol of how a simple printing mistake can transform an ordinary postage stamp into a piece of American history. The inverted Jenny was part of the very first series of U.S. airmail stamps, issued on May 10, 1918, during a time when the concept of delivering mail by airplane was still brand new and experimental. The 24-cent stamp was designed to commemorate the inaugural airmail flights between Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City, and it featured the Curtiss JN-4 Jenny biplane, which was one of the aircraft used in those early flights. But what makes the inverted Jenny so extraordinary is a printing error that flipped the blue center image of the airplane upside down, while the red border frame remained correctly oriented. It was a simple yet striking mistake, and only one sheet of 100 stamps is known to have slipped through quality control before being sold to the public. That one sheet was purchased by a stamp collector named William T. Roby, who instantly recognized its significance and wisely kept the find under wraps until he could sell it, sparking a century-long obsession in the philatelic world. To this day, only 100 inverted Jenny stamps are confirmed to exist, and many of them have been lost, damaged, or altered over the years, making the remaining ones even more valuable. Some have gum on the back, others are lightly hinged, and a few have corner creases or thinning, all of which affect their auction value. But even flawed examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with pristine or well-centered ones crossing into 6-figure territory. One particularly fine specimen sold for $1.35 million in 2016, though today's market usually sees values between $85,000 and $150,000, depending on grade and history. When trying to spot an inverted Jenny, it's essential to examine both the plain and the red frame on the error version. The plain is unmistakably upside down compared to the border, with its nose pointed downward and the tail upward completely, reversing its intended orientation. Counterfeits do exist, so authentication is key. Collectors should always verify watermarks, paper type, and ink consistency, and whenever possible, rely on expert grading services like the Philatelic Foundation or the American Philatelic Society for official certification. And remember, there have been reprints and commemorative versions released in later years, such as the 2013 intentionally printed inverted Jenny souvenir sheet issued by the USPS, which looks similar but includes a hidden 2013 microtext and different perforation characteristics. The original 1918 inverted Jenny is printed on unwatermarked paper with 11-tooth perforations on all sides, and the biplane is rendered in vivid blue ink over a red frame. Spotting one in a family heirloom collection or an old stamp album might feel like chasing a dream, but it's happened before and could happen again. So whether you're a casual enthusiast or a seasoned collector, the story of the inverted Jenny is a reminder that history, rarity, and human error can combine to create something truly priceless. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the world's most famous stamps, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment sharing your favorite rare stamp or postal story, and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating discoveries from the world of philately. You never know what hidden gem might be revealed next.